There's now a third candidate in the race for mayor of Quincy. Former city treasurer of 6 years, Linda Moore, announced her candidacy earlier today. She's running as an independent. Moore touted her city treasurer experience as a strength. If she wins, she says she'll bring a culture change to City Hall.
Part of the challenge is that some of the culture within City Hall and city government, they need a leader they can trust. And when they trust the leader and they know the leader's going to hold them accountable, they're willing to work a lot harder.
Moore faces Republicans Dan Brink and incumbent Mayor Mike Trope in the April election.